Good morning and good afternoon, good evening to everyone. This is Anil Mishra, and I just last week, recently got introduced to Blab platform, and I was very much amazed about the capabilities it had. I attended a couple of Blabs, did participated over there, and it was pretty cool. You can meet a lot of new peoples, share ideas, exchange, and all. So with that in mind, I thought, I'll also try to, do a blab, obviously. And the objective is definitely, we, a lot of us, in fact, we are in the industry. So I work in the IT services industry itself. I have been into the marketing and branding professions for some time now. So there are a lot of questions which are there in everybody's mind, and so I thought, why not, initiate a blog around this topic on how to build, world-class brands, share ideas, hear from, some of the experts over there. And as part of that, today I have invited Raghavendra Hunasgi. We call him Raghav. He's a very close friend of mine. He's a good colleague, and I am impressed by him. He is a real thought leader in the, branding space. He's authoring a couple of, great books as well. So I just wanted to invite him to share his perspectives as well. I think, Raghav lost his signal maybe. We'll just wait for some time. Okay. So, Raghav is facing some issues. So maybe I have an open seat. Any of you want to hop on, you're welcome.
Camera's horrible.
Hey, Preston.
How's it going?
Hi. Yeah. Great to talk to you again.
Yeah. Only 24 hours later.
Yeah, sure. So welcome back, Raghav.
Hey.
Yeah. So finally you are here, so that's great. So I was just talking about you. So maybe you can share, some of your thoughts around what it takes to build, some world-class brands.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much, Anil, for all the kind words and the great introduction. And thanks everyone for joining. One thing that we want to get it very clear is branding is not about painting things red, right? Branding is way beyond that. Branding is about it's about building great brand, building the loyalty amongst the customer. It's a statement of trust. So when someone says I have a brand, when someone says Adidas, what comes to our mind? Or when someone says when someone says Apple, what comes to our mind is the great brand value, right? The great, it's basically brand is a promise that a product makes to its customers. So what we wanted to discuss today was how do we, as an organization, build great brands, at the same time make sure that it resonates well with what you have to offer. So I open the forum for questions or discussion, and then we can take it forward from here.
Yeah, that sounds great. So I think I missed that part. So probably we can also introduce ourselves a bit also.
Yes.
Just yeah. So as I mentioned, right, I'm Anil Mishra. I am located in India. Maybe you can just talk about where you are located as well. So I have been in this industry for almost 10 years. Working in the marketing and branding field for some of the large technology companies, and as part of that journey, definitely learned some great perspectives around branding and marketing, and also implemented some of those while I worked on different organizations. So that's kind of a bit of background. In the recent times, I have become hooked on to social media. So LinkedIn is the preferred, most preferred channel for me. Twitter, I am, exploring. So I'm a novice over there. So I've started using Twitter as well. And, this Blab platform, as I mentioned, right? So I just got introduced to it, looked at it, and I see, some great potential over here to exchange ideas, to meet new people. So I think that's about the background from my end. Maybe Raghav, you can cover a bit about you as well.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Anil. That's awesome. Anil has a great profile, and I have the privilege of working with Anil. We both work in the same organization. My name is Raghav. I am an author, social media enthusiast. I have done my PhD, my doctorate in social media marketing. So social media is my area of interest and expertise. And I have written a book called The Brandopedia. Brandopedia is basically a book that will tell you how to build great brands. So while I authored the book, I had a privilege of interviewing people from Google, Starbucks, Apple, some of the greatest marketeers that we know today. And so the book basically talks to you about a journey of building a great brand from scratch to making it a world-class brand. So that's what I do. Me and Anil are part of a large organization in IT, and we both are part of strategic marketing team. So that's a quick introduction about me.
Preston, you can go next, maybe.
Wow, I don't have a resume like that. I've been basically in marketing and sales all my life, though, working mostly with small and medium-sized businesses, and then working with some corporations and enterprise. Mostly it has been advertising sales, actually, and then I moved into technology, also some bartering and some credit card merchant processing. So I've been kind of all over the board. Right now, currently, I have two things going on. I work with a startup that we started up 4 years ago, and supposedly, according to what I understand, it went public, but we're still waiting for the funding to come in. And then I also work for a company out of Italy, and we do kind of unique things with live streaming for hotels, resorts, and other beautiful locations around the world.
That's awesome.
That's really great to hear, Preston. You have been building brands, definitely. So
Yeah.
You can share your perspectives as well. You have been part of some of the startups already.
Yeah, and I haven't been really part of the team, if you will. Well, I should take that back. A couple of them I have been. I know when we started advertising, it was like a little advertising magazine in Rochester, Minnesota. We had to obviously create the brand to begin with, and we created all of that from scratch. The only good thing is is my partner at the time, was a business owner already. He had a very successful business that was in the tanning business in the retail sector. So he kind of knew what he needed to do and how to do it. And he had some really good graphic designers that were on his staff to create that logo, to create that look. And then when we came out with the magazine itself, obviously it has to have a certain look and appeal. We tried things a little bit different, and unfortunately, because of experimenting a little bit, we kind of failed at it. But one of the things that we attempted to do is that we had an advertising magazine, like I said, that went out to Rochester, Minnesota. We went out to all the homes in Rochester. I think it covered like 60,000 homes. And that was one mistake we made. we should have just broke it up into 4 sections instead of going after the whole city as one. Because that just caused a lot of havoc and a lot of work, because I was the one who was doing the door-to-door calling and saying, hi, how are you doing? Here's what we're doing, and giving them a sample of the plan. But that in itself was kind of a unique experience. And then we also found out after, again, a little bit of time, that we wanted to be creative. And so we actually had the magazine, and we said, once the magazine's out, we're going to put a website together, and it's going to correlate with this magazine. And so people can go to either or to get your coupons or your special. And it was a great idea. And then somehow we said, you know, maybe it'd be great if you could do a video. So we would actually do a video of the owner explaining about their business, putting it on their website. But what we found out is most owners don't want to be in front of a camera. So that didn't work out so well. So we had about 2 or 3 issues that went out, and then after that it just fell apart. And then we went back to the drawing board, went back to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and redid everything and tried to do a whole online website with all the bells and whistles. And I think we put too many bells and whistles in. So it cost us a lot of money, and we didn't really get it out there. You know, the developer said, oh yeah, you can change it anytime you want. No, you had to actually get more training from them.
Yeah. So Raghav, you know, I think you have been part of, you know, a few of the startups on your own as well.
Yeah.
Why don't you share your perspective around, you know, how did it go, and, you know, what are the, you know, things that you did and it worked really well over there?
Sure. So yeah, Anil, it's been a great experience being part of startup. So startup comes with both the things, right? One is it comes with a challenge of working in a very, very agile kind of an environment where you don't have set process, you don't have great teams, you don't have large marketing budgets. But it also comes with the freedom for you to execute your ideas, try to be as creative as you can, you know, do some really cool stuff. So yeah, I have been part of close to 5 technology startups, and I have been fortunate that all of them went well. They really took off well. So few things when it comes to startup is, especially from the branding standpoint, that one should be aware of is, number one, make sure that you have a very, very good, crystal clear idea on who your target audience is, right? So let us say, for example, in Princeton's case, if your target audience are the HNIs, the people who will be buying the property, then you make sure that you create branding, you do the messaging that will resonate well with them. So once you define who your target audience are and what your target market is, you make sure you use a lot of these free marketing vehicles to do campaigns, right? Like the way Anil was telling, LinkedIn is a great platform, Twitter is a great platform, and today I think video is everything, right? So you look at which platform would make more sense for your target audience, and then use those for creating the brand and doing that impact. Anil, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think that's definitely, you know, one of the things which, you know, I have also realized is, obviously, you know, identifying the target market and then, you know, defining your message which will resonate with that, you know, target audience. I think that's the key thing, you know, for, you know, great success. And, you know, unless and until it is, you know, thought from the customer's perspective, it definitely, your message will be flowing all across. But if you have identified who you want to target, and then, you know, define your messaging accordingly,
Right.
I think it will resonate a lot of it. That's what I realized in some of the campaigns or the initiatives that we worked on some of my previous organizations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, so Princeton, where are you from? You said from Italy, is that right?
No, I'm originally from Minnesota, and
Oh,
then
wow.
I live in Honduras right now, but the company I work with and I'm partner with is out of Italy.
Oh, okay. So it's headquartered in Italy. Okay. So do you find there is any regional impact on how branding happens in Italy, Germany, in the European side vis-a-vis the location where you are now? Do you think there is any difference?
Well, there is obviously the biggest thing is cultural differences. There's certain things that people accept in Europe that they don't accept here.
Right.
Here it's a third world country, so a lot of the technology that we're used to, like in America, does not compute to most of the people here.
Right.
So when we were doing the webcams, and I started talking about it and thinking that we were on the same page, it turned out that they were more thinking of webcams for security purposes and not for tourism purposes. And we're like, yes, we could do that, but that's not our focus right now. And we could have got a lot of business from it because everybody that I talked to wanted that first, and then they would look at the tourism because they're trying to protect everything they have. So it's every market is different, and you got to know how to, like you said, create that message for them to understand what is valuable. Not only, I mean, we have two rungs, of course. We have the consumer who's actually going to our website, looking at the beautiful locations. They want high quality. They want to be able to interact with the community. But then you also have the owners of the resorts that obviously want to get traffic, and they want not only traffic to come in, but they want to actually have people go to their hotels and swipe their credit cards, so they obviously get ROI from the investment they made in our equipment and our technology. So the thing is that everybody here, well, in Roatan, where I have a lot of my cameras, they all spoke English, so it was a lot easier to be able to do business there. When I went to the mainland, it was opposite, where basically 5% of the people spoke English and 95% spoke Spanish. So it was very difficult for me for the first couple of months to actually get started. I had a good message and I had good information, but if they can't understand it, it doesn't matter.
In fact, I think, Preston, you have definitely made a point that based on your region or the focus, you definitely have to tweak in message, because there'll be some cultural differences which will be coming. So as we talk about that, we have got one question from Maya. So she's asking about how do you establish your branding on the Blab? And frankly speaking, this is a very, very new platform. Preston, you have done a couple of Blabs already. So what's your thought on how Blab enables you to build your brand
Well,
in the social brand?
yeah, typically, I mean, I've been on here for quite some time, and I'm still building it. People are getting to know me because I'm hopping on some Blabs. I'm not afraid to go on camera, so to speak. People get to know me, and then they start following me, and then hopefully they come to our Blabs. But we have a Blab every single day, and we don't got a lot of people. To be honest with you, it's kind of a strange thing. But what we do is, we record it and then we repurpose it. So obviously that gets out there and people get to know us. And as time goes on, we're hoping something happens with that. But I also brand myself. I didn't do it today because I had a problem with my third-party application called XSplit. I actually have a beautiful background, and it's of a palm tree, and so it kind of brands me. However,
I saw that yesterday. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, people like it. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people think I'm too I guess, forward with my branding. And then, there is mixed messages because a lot of people don't know really what I do until they actually click onto my profile here on Blab. Then they can see my website and go from there. But a lot of people initially, because they see the beautiful scenery, they automatically think I'm a travel agent. and I'm not. I do have a lot of travel places, and I work with some travel agencies, but I'm not a travel agent. So there's some mixed messages that people are getting, and I don't know necessarily how to be able to brand myself with that background unless I put, the look of a camera. But then people are gonna, so okay, what is that? So it's a mixture of things.
Yeah, I think this platform is definitely coming up, and what I feel is it'll definitely be a great platform to exchange ideas, to build your area of expertise, and share knowledge to the world. And as Preston, you have mentioned, right? So it's all about experimenting at this point of time. So as you mentioned, right? So you don't shy away from jumping on to a particular blab and show up with the camera, and that's the way to get a hang of what blab platform allows you to do. So maybe Raghav, you can also share your perspectives around how we can leverage this platform altogether to build our brands.
You're muted. You're muted.
Raghav, we are not able to hear you.
Is it okay now?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So Maya, very good question, and we were just discussing how does the branding work with Blab. So as Anil and Princeton said, it's very easy for you. It's an easy platform for you to build a repository of videos. So let us say you have some kind of messaging that you want to take to market. The easiest way for you is to get on Blab, call your peers, call your friends, your customers, partners, do Blabs, and have those video recordings put on the YouTube. You have an option where you can put this video on a YouTube. Once you post the video on YouTube, you can take it viral using Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all other social media channels. So I think this is a very, very effective platform if you want to do a video campaign and keep it effective. So I think that's a way, I think, way forward for this platform.
Absolutely. All these newer platforms that are coming up, it is definitely giving a lot of power to an individual. It's up to us, how we leverage these and, obviously, build our brands, but most importantly, exchange ideas, meet new people, make acquaintances, and, it'll take on from there. So I think that's great. We are excited about this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the key things in marketing, especially in branding, is what you see. I mean, there's a very famous saying, right? What you see is what sells. So video as a channel of marketing is much more effective than the text or the audio versions. I mean, there was an era where people had podcasts. There was an era where people started writing blogs. Then came the micro blogs. Now it's all about videos. So building great videos through this platform is definitely a great thing. We have Nadeem with us now. Welcome, Nadeem.
Hi. How are you guys?
Welcome, Nadeem. Yeah. Maybe you can, quickly.
Wow.
Wow.
Product placement.
So you are on energy now. So you should, quickly maybe introduce yourself, and we'll take it forward from there.
Sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
Yeah, so I was just saying, you can maybe just quickly introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm from Vancouver, Canada. I've been in branding and design for almost 15 years. So I'm kind of just drawn in by the topic about building world-class brands. And, kind of learn something from you guys and hopefully add some value to the conversation as well.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So Nadeem, can you just give us more insight on your experience in branding, and have you had an experience building a brand for a startup?
Yes and yes. A lot of it really comes down to being able to communicate your core values as a company through your brand. And your brand has to have a couple of key things. One is consistency and continuity in the message of what you guys are trying to communicate, as well as certain level of transparency, enormous amounts of authenticity, and be able to bring value.
Right.
Right. So it's kind of like a recipe of all of those 4 or 5 things that would create a valuable brand. But to be profitable, you have to be able to solve a problem.
Absolutely.
You can have the prettiest brand out there, but if you're not solving somebody else's problem or providing a service of convenience of some sort, then you're going to end up being broke.
Absolutely. I think Nadeem, that's a great point which you have mentioned. And all these different platforms, the newer ones which are coming up, on the social side and all. I think these are some great, platforms which can be used to communicate your, brand messaging and all. And that sounds to be pretty interesting. So maybe you can. I had a question around, your experience, with these social media tools and how it can be used for, branding your product or a service.
Is that for me?
Yeah, Nadeem.
Oh, okay. It depends on what kind of brand you are and what kind of company you are. As far as social media is concerned, a lot of it is about trial and error. So you may find more success on LinkedIn versus Facebook. You may find more success through Twitter versus Facebook. Right? It is important to be present in all of them, but not necessarily completely active. Right? You can't be everywhere, so you might as well focus on 1 or 2 platforms and be really good at it. Right? If you have a Facebook presence, you have a Facebook page, a Facebook group, just focus on those 2 things. There's no point of jumping over to LinkedIn and start a LinkedIn group and then jump over to another platform and start another group, because the more number of properties that you set up, the more you have to manage. So unless if you have the resources, like a staff of 20 people that only going to manage your social media presence, then yeah, go for it. But most startups are very, very lean, and they operate in that fashion to save the larger sums of money for a rainy day type of thing. So it's key to make sure that you're operating on a very lean and efficient approach to that kind of stuff. And the other thing is, don't get lost in social media. So what you got to do is have a disciplined focus, what you want to achieve and what you want to do. And at the end of the day, treat it like a business tool.
Okay, thank you.
It's not a social party. It's a tool that you're using to get more business.
Thank you.
Awesome. That's a very important point which you have mentioned, Nadeem. So Raghav, you are coming up with your book called Brandopedia, right? So why don't you share some of your insights, from that book as well?
Yeah. So I completely thanks, Anand. So I completely agree with what Nadeem said, and one key thing, especially for startups, because I have had this opportunity of working with many startups. One key thing about social media is being consistent, right? Let us say you have like 50 posts in this week, and then you write 5 blogs, and then you do a lot of videos, and then suddenly you disappear and you become inactive for next 2 weeks. Then it will not make sense. I mean, the whole momentum will fizzle out. So number one, it is very important to make sure that you have right messaging that goes out. Number two, the most important is it is very consistent, and it keeps consistent. It's kept consistent to make sure that the audience are engaged, because one of the key drawbacks that comes with the new age social media is they have so much of information, right? There is abundance. So if you are not feeding enough information to your audience, then they have many other channels, many other people to switch. So so I think consistency is also equally important.
And to save the whole cycle of being a gerbil inside the wheel type of thing is leverage the technology that's available to you.
Right.
So if you have, for example, if you're on Instagram and you can connect your Twitter and your Facebook, just as you're sharing stuff on Instagram, just realize that whatever you're putting on Instagram will also go on Twitter and also go on Facebook. So write your message in a way where you're directing all three platforms, or you're addressing all three platforms in the same one action that you're doing. Automation tools like Hootsuite and stuff are good to build consistency in your message.
Yep.
It'll save you loads of work trying to do it yourself every single time sitting in front of the computer. The idea behind that is, and some people disagree with me, and they can disagree all day long, but the thing is that the automated side of posting onto social media is what builds the consistency of your core message, of your brand, of your product, or your service. The random posting that you do as an individual, it ends up being the personality of your brand. So if you got inspired by something walking downtown or something like that, you take a quick picture of it, throw it up on your Instagram and share it, that's your personality speaking towards your brand. That's you shining as an individual, because people don't buy from companies, people buy from people. And on the flip side of that, people don't like buying, they don't like being sold, but they love to buy. So you got to find that fine balance between your products, your services, and what is going to work, right? You can't always be a pitch fest, because people will run you as soon as they see you. You know, people will just, oh, he's just here to sell more shit. No, you just kind of be yourself, you know, introduce yourself, tell what people you're about, and then the automated side of your business, let that do the rest of the talking.
That's nice. So Preston, you have any comments around your thoughts on some of the different social media tools that you have been using?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting what Nadeem is saying, because when I first got involved with the first company, one of the people that I really respected and really wanted to emulate was a social media maven, as she calls herself. And I was learning from her. She was giving classes, and I'm like, okay, this is good. And one thing that stuck to me, which I guess now I look back at and I probably shouldn't have listened to her on that, was the fact that, I'm originally from Minnesota and I love fishing. And she said, if you love fishing, one of the things that you do is you go out on a boat and you try to catch fish. And usually if you have the ability to, and it's, by the law, you can put in more than one line in the water. And the more lines you have in the water, the more likely you're going to catch fish. And so she applied that to social media and says, well, you should set up this, you should set up this. And that's what I did. And just like Nadeem says, I was very consistent on all of them for a very long time, but you can't do it forever, because it is very time consuming. And, the automation, there are two camps on that. I believe you need some automation, but I don't think you need to rely on that automation, because there still has to be engagement. So I have had people come to me, and I'm experimenting right now with Twitter. I'm using the automatic DM. So when people follow me on Twitter, you will eventually get an automatic DM from me, but I'm not selling anything, and I'm not telling you to buy anything. I'm not giving you the opportunity to go to my Facebook page or my Google page. I want to keep you on Twitter, because obviously that's where you saw me. I'm just doing an introduction. But it's funny, some people still, because it's a DM, they don't look at their DMs and they ignore it. and so it's an interesting dynamic, because when I first started in social media, the first place I was at was Twitter. But because I lost my email and I couldn't remember the email I set up and the password, I cannot get back to my original account. So I had to start multiple accounts type things, a personal one and a business one. So I think social media, it's helpful. Obviously, that's where the eyeballs are. And with eyeballs, you want to be able to convert those eyeballs to a relationship. And then with that relationship, you want to convert them to business if it makes sense for them. But there is a lot of that building and that engagement you have to do, because if you don't, they're going to say, well, you don't care about me.
Absolutely. I think that definitely brings one point, as you mentioned, right? So you did, social media at all different platforms for quite a long time. But as Nadeem also mentioned, you have also realized that it may make sense to identify, based on your product or service, what are the different platforms which will make sense. So there can be chances that probably Instagram doesn't make sense for me. LinkedIn and Twitter makes a lot of sense. So it's identifying which are those places which you want to focus your energies on, and then have a game plan and execute on that. Leverage the tools which are available. So there are some great free tools available, as Nadeem mentioned, the Hootsuite and all. So I think, I myself am yet to do that, but I think that's in my to-do list. Definitely, I'll be leveraging those tools.
Yeah, to the point that Michael make, you have to be in the right lake. And then I'd even go as far as this: if you have the lines in the water, you got to have different lures to catch the different fish. Right. So there's a lot more to that too, and it has to be at a certain time of the day, and you can't always catch the right fish with lines. So even though I knew fishing, it just sounded good, and that's why I did it. So I was naive back then.
Great analogy, though. One thing also comes to mind is, just as we are talking about social platforms, is as people that build startups or brand, we have to understand that none of us in this room own Facebook, own Twitter, own LinkedIn, or any of these.
I wish we did.
The objective is to captivate that audience immediately and give them a strong enough call to action to bring them back to your mailing list. Because your biggest asset in your brand or any company for that matter is your mailing list. Yeah, there's a lot of people say, well, gee, I don't want to connect name and email addresses. If I can go back to all my clients and ask each and every one of them, I can guarantee you 9 out of 10 of them will say, I wish I started with this.
Right.
The only reason being is because even with Google, their algorithms change and we find out after the fact. Facebook changes their structure and we find out after the fact. Twitter changes something, we find out after the fact. And that's true for all the other platforms too. Why? Because we have no control over them. We don't own them. As far as your list is concerned, you own that list. You've worked hard to grow the list, to nurture the list. And there's a different way of, you can't just spam crap all day long. You'll never get an audience that way either. But you want to be able to nurture that list, build a relationship, write every email like you're writing it to a friend of yours, right? Have a strong enough subject line that intrigues the audience and raises curiosity. Well, what is this subject about? I want to read about it. And then each of your emails, what you want to be able to do is have a call to action. Don't be afraid to have a call to action. It doesn't necessarily have to sound spammy. Even if you ask somebody not spammy, but salesy. Now, even if you ask somebody for an opinion on something, that's a call to action. That's not necessarily saying buy my shit. That's just like, hey, what do you think about this, guys? I'm thinking about rolling something out. The one thing I do teach my audience or my clients is, and this is my psychology behind sending an email to your list. If you have enough links in there and enough questions, every single email that you send out is like a survey. You just have to read the analytics. Okay? If you have 2 different products that you're thinking or 3 different products coming out, write a little blurb about it, and have a link that goes back to the website or back to a video that further explains it. Look at your analytics, and if your analytics say product number B has the most number of clicks, that's probably the one that has the most amount of interest as well. So instead of the old way of doing things is, you make your bowl of pasta and you throw everything up against the wall, and the last noodle stuck up there is the one that you're going to stick with. It doesn't work that way anymore. That's why we have the analytics to read and to decide, and that way you're spending on a very, very precise calculation, not just guessing.
Well, I was going to ask you a question, Nadim, and I lost my train of thought, but it was mostly about, what you were talking about. And, the issue that I guess I run into, even with the email, is, what is your actual open rate? Because, when I was in the retail market and I was doing coupon advertising, right? The national, at least in the U.S., redeem rate is like less than 1%, and that's good, so that if you go out to 1 million homes, 1% of those homes will redeem your coupon. However,
Right.
in the internet, it's a little bit different because, a lot of people are distracted. And yeah, if you get the email address and you build your list, you have to have obviously a good title. They have to be very interested in what you do. Obviously, you're probably accepting them as a double opt-in, or at least an opt-in, because that's the only way you can really talk to them legally and without getting spam complaints. But what I've noticed is that a lot of people don't open it up. And even if they're my clients, they prefer other communication, which is a kind of strange thing, and maybe it's just my clients, I don't know. But they would rather have a phone call or me getting back to them on Facebook or Twitter messaging.
Well, there's a few things that definitely I can highlight from your conversation. Is a lot of people, to be honest, even though they may have a list, they don't know how to market to their list. Mm-hmm. They don't. Okay? And when you start reading things about persuasion, or when you start reading about NLP, when you start reading about social psychological impact of the whole consumer behavior stuff, which a lot of people think it's like voodoo shit, but it's not. It's actual psychological behavior. The words that you use, the anchors that you use in your context and what you're writing, there's the reason why when you're driving down the street and you see like a big billboard of McDonald's, and the first thing you do is you pull into the first McDonald's you see, it's all psychological stuff that's working in the back end. You may not do it right away, but I guarantee you a week later, and I'm a victim of this, a week later I'll pull into McDonald's and I have no clue why. Because of that reason. And it works. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to your email marketing stuff, right, is if you want to see a bigger, more improved open rate, you got to check your value. How much value are you delivering on those emails? And what kind of personality are coming across on the other side? Right? It's the same thing. If you're always selling shit, people are just going to stop opening your emails. Same with, oh, you're just selling me some more stuff that I already bought from another guy. Right? However, if you're delivering all your value in your email, whether it's your personality, right? Some people will actually just open your email just to giggle, to be honest. Like if you're a funny individual, if you're a comedian or something and you have a quick joke that you can just send in a fire off in a quick email, there's no monetization. There's no money involved. There's no, I'm going to charge you $1 for a joke. It's just you're making other people feel good. Now, what that ends up happening is over time, it's a psychological dependency that if this person has worked so hard to make me feel good, be more productive in my business or in my life, or help me make more money, and all of a sudden you come up and say, hey guys, I'm putting a product together, it's going to be $97, it's a book that'll really help you accelerate your business, What ends up happening is, in the back of that person's mind, you've spent a month building a relationship with this person. You've spent a month sending them emails full of value. You'll probably have a much higher conversion rate with that $97 product at that point.
Sure.
Because you've already delivered so much value. And what ends up happening is, oh my God, if this person has given me so much value for free, I can only imagine what's in the book.
And I can see that for certain industries,
right?
Because obviously you're talking about an industry that I am not doing. I don't write ebooks. I don't do any of that. I'm technology. We work with resorts and hotels, and we talk about obviously things that they are concerned with, and we can't address per se, but we have people that are in our network that can. And so we're trying to also create that collaborative, if you will, bring people into the lab and those type of things. So we're not selling anything, but we do have obviously the automation going out on a regular basis so that they get to know us. But I think, with what you're saying is true in your particular business, but in my business, it's more being able to bring value, not by selling, stuff or a new product. I mean, we might have, a new feature that's going to come out on our cameras, but because of the fact that we already put it in place, we're automatically going to give them that update at no additional charge. So really what we're looking for is when we have the relationship is we want to expand that to other relationships with other people that they know that we can be able to work with, or, like right now, and I don't want to be on my soapbox here, but one of the biggest challenges I'm having right now is figuring out how do I work with the bigger brands? How do I work with a Coca-Cola? Or how do I work with, American Airline? Because we have... I'm sorry?
What is your technology space?
We actually have high definition webcams that get placed in all the beautiful locations around the world, and we help obviously the resorts and other places be able to really decrease their vacancy rates and allow them to not have to discount to get new people coming in. Our site currently gets about 9 million visits per month. From all over the world. So if it's a brand that wants global recognition, we want to work with them. But we're not doing it on our current cameras because there's certain agreements that we have with partners that already put those up. And I'm looking to expand in the U.S. And so my goal is to be able to say, look, anybody that is in the U.S. that has a beautiful location, if I get a brand involved, the brand basically will get obviously their exposure on each individual camera. They'll get the views that they want and that we agree upon based upon a performance basis, and that they don't pay us a dime until that happens. So it's a win for them. And then we can approach those resorts and hotels and give them a $2,000 camera because the brand is basically paying for it. And the brand is okay and the resort is okay.
What's the objective of the camera? To show off the facilities? Or more, is it more like when you're telling me 8 high definition cameras, I'm thinking like security to prevent.
No, see, that's what we're talking about. The easiest, and this is the challenge that I have. The easiest thing is if you go to my profile and click on my website, you'll see what it is. I can't explain that. You have to actually experience it, because by experience it, then you can see.
Oh, it makes sense. It makes sense.
So the value for obviously the resort is to be able to create ROI, not only pay for the camera, but actually get customers coming in, swiping the credit card. And we've seen that in every single scenario that we put a camera out there within, 6 months or less, depending upon, of course, what the camera is showing. The visitors are anywhere between 1,000 to 5,000 a day. So it's a pretty nice traffic source of real eyeballs, But the challenge is finding the brands. So my new, business model.
Just watching one of your streams.
What was that?
I said I'm just watching one of your streams. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. And that's the thing is.
I'm in Venice right now.
Exactly, and that's the thing is it's hard to create that message without somebody physically going there and seeing it. And that's where we're at a challenge. But one of the things that I'm doing now is I'm talking about, social media and how you connect. I'm using LinkedIn, and I'm looking for advertising agencies, PR agencies, public relation agencies, because they already work with the brands. Not all their brands would be interested in this, but I think some of them might be. And I've connected with some people, and people have reflected to me and say, yeah, I want more information. This looks interesting. I'm going to be working with this brand, Harley Davidson, and they want to do something like this.
So
Go ahead, Anil.
yeah, so I think we are almost at the end. We just have got another 5 minutes. I just
Sorry
wanted
about
to maybe
Just got
yeah,
started.
time quickly flew.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So so what I would like to do is maybe quickly next couple of minutes some closing thoughts you can share. So maybe Raghav, we can start with you. You're not audible, Raghav.
I'm sorry, I keep it on mute and then I forget to unmute it. So it was definitely one of the very, very thoughtful labs that I attended. Probably what we can do is we can schedule a series, let's say particular day on a particular time. This will probably also help readers of my book. I can probably do a quick invite to all the people who have kind of pre-booked. My book is getting launched next month on branding, so there are a lot of universities and colleges that are booked. So number one, I'll definitely take the video, upload it on YouTube, and share the link with all 4 of us here on the Blab. But I will also invite people. So I just need thoughts from all of you. If you guys are okay, probably we can set up a continuous series on how to build great brands, and also talk on the various aspects of social media, branding, marketing, and take it forward from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm starting a program on the 1st of October.
Wow.
It'll be on Blab. So it's a series that I'm starting, and the first lesson that I'm putting together is creative clarity. How to create a clear message with your brand.
Wow.
And then it kind of evolves into other things about, the technical side of it, the emotional side of it, and all that kind of stuff. So you guys are more than welcome and invited to follow me, and then that way when I have my notifications come out, then you guys can kind of subscribe to the events. Just a quick thing to Preston about with your corporate company stuff. Because you're in the technical space, right? Because it's a lot of business to business, you'll notice that in that environment, there isn't much emotion between companies.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
Because it's all strict suit and tie, business to business stuff. Yeah. If you can loosen that tie and take off the coat and have a personality in your arena of businesses, you'll stand out right from the get-go. Mm-hmm. And try to align yourself with the fun values of companies like WestJet, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. Look at some of their TV commercials. You get a really understanding of what their values are and what their perspective is on how they execute their brand. Get a bunch of people on Fiverr that are around your area where you have the cameras. Tell them to go up there and create a hashtag campaign that you can create.
Right.
And get people to hang around your cameras and just flash up a hashtag or whatever. And leverage social, we can definitely connect at a later time, and I can help you with that. And we can kind of strategize. Help you put a strategy together where you'll be able to leverage just the social media platforms, but around the big brands that you want to engage with.
Right. Yeah, and I appreciate that. I do have a partner that we're working on some strategies too. So, and one of them was a specific hashtag for a certain area. So I appreciate that. And definitely would love to talk to you more.
So Nadeem, what would be an email ID that would be comfortable for you to respond to mails if we want to connect with you?
Just type in the book here.
Yeah. Perfect. All right.
Yeah, I think that has been a really engaging discussion, and as Raghav mentioned, we'll try to have a series of these blabs, talking about different aspects over there, marketing, and Nadeem, you mentioned about your blab as well, so we'll try and hop in that as well.
So we will take the word out, and we will get a lot of relevant people to come and attend your lessons, Nadeem. I understand it from first, so.
Yep, I think it's on my blog profile somewhere. So I'll be adding a couple more as I put the content together for it.
Sure.
And then what I would like to do is kind of like a 10-day marathon, where over the course of 10 days I'll have 10 different topics I can talk about, and then take it from there.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
You're
Thanks
mentioning
everyone for joining as well, and it has been really great interacting with you all and meeting Kristen. I met you yesterday, so yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Guys, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.